Hi, I'm Aaron, and today I am going to be speaking about building and maintaining your sourdough starter. So I have this sourdough starter that I've had for around 7 months. I was lucky enough to have a friend that gave it to me. And so I got a Ziploc baggie of this sourdough starter. I put it into a container very similar to this one, maybe this one, and I fed it with 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of water. I stirred it very well, and I put it in the fridge and came back to it the next week. And it has been living and breathing ever since. If you are not lucky enough to have a friend or know someone that has a sourdough starter, there are very many reputable sites on the internet that have sourdough starters that you can buy. My sourdough starter came with a story. They said that it came over to Oregon on a wagon train 120 years ago, and it has been living from person to person ever since. Whether that's true or not, I like to believe that it is. Anyways, today I'm going to feed my sourdough. I've just made a sourdough dough with my sourdough starter. So I've taken out 1 cup from my sourdough, and I'm going to add in a fresh cup of flour and water. So I have 1 cup of water that I'm going to add into this. This is a purified water. You can use your Brita filter, a water filter. You can also use water that has been boiled and set out on your stove. You do not want to have water that has been directly from your tap because it could possibly have chlorine in it. If you have your own well and you're not chlorinating your water, then it is perfectly fine. So I guess what I'm saying is try to use a high quality water without chlorine in it. So what I'm going to do is incorporate that 1 cup of water into my sourdough starter. I've just changed out my container. I try to change it out weekly. I feed my sourdough every week. What you don't want to do is leave it to a point where it no longer smells fresh or it has a bitter smell to it or a moldy look to it. That is going to show that your sourdough has gone from sour to rotten, and we are not making rotten dough. My sourdough starter is always very alive. It bubbles, it grows, it breathes. When you take it out and put it on the counter, you can actually see bubbles forming in it. And even when I leave it for just a second and it starts to settle, you can see the bubbles of carbon dioxide starting to escape from it. So I'm going to add 1 cup of flour into my sourdough starter. So I try to feed my sourdough starter at a minimum of once every 7 days. If you are going on vacation for a length of time, make sure you remember to feed your sourdough starter. I have read that you can leave your sourdough starter for up to 3 weeks without any real negative consequences. When you get back, you are going to have to feed your sourdough starter. It is going to almost be dead, but there is still live yeast bacteria in your sourdough starter. If you're going longer than that, I'm not too sure. I've also read that you are capable of freezing your sourdough starter. Yeasts aren't really affected by being frozen. I've never frozen my sourdough starter, so I can't tell you firsthand. But if you are going away for a month and you don't want to lose your sourdough starter, you could definitely try to freeze it. I mean, what are you going to lose anyways, right? If you're going to kill your sourdough. Make sure that you have a clean working environment and everything is nice and clean. Some people feed their sourdough starters different types of potato waters or fruit waters, or actually put pieces of fruit into their sourdough. My sourdough starter has been very nice and active. I've had no problems with any of the action I get from it. The sourdoughs that I make from it are really nice and flavorful. So that's it right there. Quick and easy, feed your sourdough starter, have it fresh and ready to go the next time you want to make a loaf of bread.